Oh, the humanity. F1 is back, and back how? There are a multitude of questions for which we needed answers, particularly around Lando Norris and his ability to challenge a fire-breathing dragon in Maximilian Verstappen over the course of 24 races. Now, we still need to proof these theories in long form, but Lando Norris came up good today, did he not? How do you like them there, Lando Norrises? Now, last year, it was always starting from P1. He couldn't get to the end of lap 1, consolidating for that position. It was defensive posture and or lack thereof. It was mental fortitude, lack thereof. Every time he had Maximilian Verstappen, a fire-breathing dragon of an F1 peddler, beaming down upon his big gearbox, he would fail. He would cede. We saw it a gazillion times at Austria, at Hungary, et al. Now, however, it seems like Lando Norris has gone away and done the requisite research. He was not kidding, chat, on the evidence of the Australian Grand Prix. Defensive posture on point off the line. When Max decided he was going to be the meat in a McLaren Oscar Piastri sandwich, and Lando closed the gap on him. Lando was looking in his rear view, in his wing mirrors even, at every single juncture going into turn 1. Tick, tick, tick. How do you like them Lando Norris apples? He's converting skeptics into believers, is he not? For 57 laps, he was near as makes no difference. Perfect. Yeah, cheeky off during the latter stages of the race when it got changeable circumstances, rainy conditions, difficult for all of the drivers. But yet and still in the closing stages, when he had a fire-breathing dragon in Maximilian Verstappen down his neck, he held him off. Oh, the humanity. I feel like Lando has turned over a new leaf. I don't think you can count ever on one hand the number of races that he done that for, especially not in 2024, the Italian Grand Prix. He was learned in his racecraft. Of course, he was efficient in his energy resources. Lando Norris at the Australian Grand Prix was everything that we've been asking off of him. Of course, factor into that the fact that McLaren have themselves a market-leading car. Anywhere between 2 and 3 tenths was the delta, the time that they had in hand, as versus the Red Bull, the RB21, in Maximilian Verstappen's hands. Oh, and by the way, props to Maximilian Verstappen for keeping Lando Norris honest. Again, over the course of the 57 laps, Max was always there or thereabouts, looking to profit from any changeable circumstances as far as the climatic conditions. So too, looking to do a Brazil 2024 for a while back there and hang it out in the hope that one of the rookies were going to have another incident. Shout out to Jack Doohan, Gabriel Bortoleto too, yeeting it into the barrier each and every single time. Isaac Hadjar too, we will come to. But Maximilian Verstappen, if you're assessing his performance in real time, you've got to normalise for that 2 tenths, and yet and still able to keep Lando Norris honest for 57 laps of 57. By the way, did you see an uncharacteristic error of the unforced variety as far as Max Verstappen? Oh, the humanity. In the wet as well, Mr. 10,000 hours worth of deliberate practice. The dude who in karting, when the rain came, he would go out and show Jos Verstappen how good he was in those conditions, getting his practice in. I think that can only speak to one thing, that RB21 is nothing if not temperamental. Understeer to snap oversteer. You only need to go and check Liam Lawson's progress. How did that work out, chat? DNF yet again. Checo Perez will be looking at this with a wry smile on his face. This bodes well, however, for the championship. Lando Norris and Max Verstappen are going to go at it for the next 23 races as near as makes no difference, notwithstanding the MCL39's material delta on the rest. Oh, and by the way, if you want proof positive of just how good Lando was and Max Verstappen was this Grand Prix, you only need to go back and look at OJ Piastri, who was brilliant for 99% of the race, for 56 laps of the 57, but made a mistake at a critical time and ended up beached on the grass, spinning a cheeky off. And again, I say this to say this. Oscar Piastri has a load of fans, a load of F1 aficionados that were predicting him to have success as far as the Drivers' Championship is concerned. It's premature, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have it right. I would have loved for that dude to win his home Grand Prix. It would have been a brilliant story, a cause for celebration in the F1 community, but it's a little too soon for Oscar Piastri. Again, the qualifying pace not quite there as versus his teammate. And again, his ability to build himself a race weekend even, not where it needs to be as versus his teammate Lando Norris, notwithstanding the fact that he's just gotten himself a £20 million a year contract. Zach Brown and Andrea Stella no longer have a decision to make as far as team orders, because the performance that was Lando Norris at the Australian Grand Prix Albert Park this morning, British Standard Time, has been made for him. Oh, by the way, Lewis Hamilton jumped out the frying pan into the fire, some say. The chaos at Scuderia Ferrari. What are they doing? Over the course of free practice, it was pit. No, don't pit. Reminiscent of 2022 and Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz. Now we get them talking about K1. It's clear that Adami and Lewis Hamilton aren't on the same page. Even it feels like there's a cultural barrier as much as a language barrier. Now Lewis, he held it on track and he said post-race that he was happy doing that. That was mission complete, but still there's a lot of work to be done. Oh, and so too, if you see that Charles Leclerc and Lewis are friends outside of the cockpit, that all fades to black when they get inside of it. You saw Charles Leclerc dealing handily with Sir Lewis on a couple different occasions, hanging his mate out to dry with impunity, without compunction. So too, if we're talking about Scuderia Ferrari and their lack of strategic aptitude. Both Lewis and Charles wanted to come in when the rain was coming, and they both told them no, stay out. Ferrari ended up double stacking and costing both Charles Leclerc and Sir Lewis time. I say all of that to say this: it's tough times on the horizon for both Sir Lewis and Charles Leclerc, and the dynamic between the two, that they both want to fight for a championship, that for a large portion of the Australian Grand Prix they were both squabbling over the same piece of track, does not bode well. Oh, and by the way, shout out to Alex Albon, who roundly outperforms his teammate with more experience, the golden child, and ends up nailing P4. Is that where he finished? I can't beggars belief. How? Sway, Kimi Antonelli too. Best of the rookies by a gazillion miles. P16 to P5. Only a hair's breadth away from his teammate King George Russell of Kingsley, Norfolk. I think Mercedes, breaking news, have themselves a car all of a sudden. Lewis Hamilton naysayers will be looking at this circumstance saying it wasn't the car, was it, Lewis? It wasn't the team, because all of the problems that you've had at Mercedes over the past 24 months have followed you over to Scuderia Ferrari. Now, I don't think that's right. Some say that correlation doesn't imply causation, and I would dine from that thesis restaurant. Shout out to Isaac Hadjar as well. It wasn't easy for these rookies, was it? Wasn't the race that you want to have your first ever F1, right? Like, it just doesn't bode well. It was always going to be difficult. Strategic objective, keep it on the track. Only the one they call Ollie Behrman, who I think finished drop dead last, and Kimi Antonelli managed to do it. And again, this raises questions about the extent of the potential of the Italian. We saw FP1 super quick. Everybody says that dude is rapid. Mercedes engineers are saying that dude is impossibly brave through the medium to high speed twist. His levels, Ayrton Senna settings. Ironically, he looks just like him, the twin of. So again, the question is this: how far can Kimi Antonelli go? Can he give King George Russell fits in his maiden season? Again, second youngest point scorer in F1 history. It only bodes well, in stark contrast to the one that they call Isaac Hadjar, having to be consoled by Anthony Hamilton, father of Lewis. Now, it's a beautiful picture. It's a story that we'll be talking about all week, but yet and still there are questions to be asked of Isaac. So too, questions to be asked about Christian Horner and his decisions about who he's promoted. Sonoda left in the wilderness yet again, while Liam Lawson has the head seat at the table alongside Maximilian Verstappen. How did that work out for Liam Lawson at the Australian Grand Prix? Just like the other rookies, not very Well, fast forward. We're 7 days away from the Chinese Grand Prix, and I cannot wait. Ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury, how do you like yourself some F1?